I am obviously driving, and right now I'm driving the second load up to the RV. The day the water leak was fixed, I wrapped up that video, thankfully, after 4 months of wanting to get it fixed and being nervous about it. The next day, I brought up the first truckload of belongings that we could bring up there, things that we were going to leave. I washed all the extra bedding at our house and brought it up. Basically, I wanted the RV to be set up so that we could leave as much up there as possible. It's April 1st on this recording, and we are supposed to be out of our house at the end of May. So we have exactly 2 months before we need to be out of the house and permanently into the RV. Also, it happens that in the middle of this month, Dane has a week off, which means with weekends, it means 10 days. So we're planning on spending this weekend and then his 10 days and really dialing things in at the RV so that we basically are just moving in slowly, as well as moving things into a storage unit. The plan today is to get this load up. I'll unload it and get everything put away. This is the majority of the containers of belongings. We have the couch in the pickup and Dane's clothes are in the pickup. We will hopefully get the couch in. And then the biggest thing tonight for us to do is to level the RV. I think part of why it hasn't gotten done, even though the RV has been there for 7 months, is that it's nerve-wracking to do something for the first time, and we've never leveled the RV before. We've backed in and out also a few times in this last 7 months. We were hoping to have the entire backyard at our son's house cleaned up and leveled. You know, you kind of just wait for the next thing to happen and then you don't realize 7 months goes by. That's pretty much what happened. Every time I've moved, you think, oh, this kitchen will probably take like 5 boxes. And 19 boxes later, you're like, holy cow. And then you bring those boxes to the new place that you are just moving into and you think, there is no way we're going to get all of this stuff into these cabinets. The RV is just like that, except we are working with a much smaller space. I got everything here from the first load and everything got put away. It's like, oh, okay, everything got put away. Now I see how much more room we have. Not that we brought nearly everything, but I feel like the last 2 loads we were bringing quite a bit. It's exciting to start to see it look like your space. I think about bringing all the spices here and getting the knife rack up and, you know, just all the things that you know you're going to do when you move into a place to kind of make it your own. Right now, what I've done is, yes, I've put everything away. I've also put things up. You can see the ladders up. Things that I think might fall when we are leveling it. Once we get the couch in, we have to bring the slide in, disconnect the power, disconnect the propane, and then bring in the slide, back it up, get the leveling blocks set up, bring it back on, and get all that stuff done. Okay, we have a single truck there, higher here. I made our first dinner here. Used the convection microwave for the first time. That will take some getting used to. There are a couple things that I really like to get at Dollar Tree, and I follow a woman on YouTube who talks about great finds on Dollar Tree. Most of the time, she's very spot on. One of them are these containers. You get 3 of them. It's the size, I think. It's like a single serving meal. They fit in drawers, so I can put all of my teaspoons and tablespoons and stuff like that in one of them to kind of separate things, and the drawer closes. But these are awesome. This is another thing that I've gotten from the Dollar Tree, and it is just a puck light. They take 3 AAA batteries. They're great to just stick up in places where you might need a little bit of light, but not a ton of light. So I recommend those.
Because it was so cold on our heads at the RV, I went ahead and ordered some more Reflectix and made insulated shades for every single window in the RV. I got a really great system, and fortunately it was warm outside, so I could take everything outside and get it done that way. We cleared off the area on the back patio to move the propane tank. The guy that I worked with is the same guy I worked with before, and really this propane company has been incredible. So he helps me back out. And this time it was a little bit more challenging, just in the sense that I had to move forward and then back it up again. Nothing really extreme, but I got out of the way so he could get the propane truck into the yard. And he's so awesome. Stephen, of course, was the videographer for today's episode. And on this date, it's now April 15th. When we came out today, we were bringing load number 4 in the car. It's always fascinating to me to watch the propane tank get moved. Basically, we moved it from the location it was in across the yard onto the back patio. And what this allows us to do is a couple things. Our son wants to pull out some trees in the backyard, and he's hired somebody to level the yard. Also, it means we are backing in the RV, which I am super excited about, because it means the door will open into the yard and not up against the fence. So it will seem a lot more roomy for us to have the RV turned around. It was a decision we had to make, and because of the propane tank needing to be moved and needing to pay for that, it was just kind of a hassle, and we had been dragging our heels on whether or not to do it.
The guy who drives the massive propane truck all the time is going to back this in for me, because I was a little bit nervous.
Backing in took a little bit of time and effort, but basically went pretty seamlessly. He is a great driver. It is now not level again, which is not a problem since we are comfortable leveling and it's supposed to get leveled.
I wasn't sure how everything was going to hook up, if things were going to reach, and actually, if everything reaches great, I know I'll have to unplug it when we have the driveway leveled. For now, this is awesome. This is incredible. I'm ecstatic. Also, I will be climbing underneath the RV again. Propane tank has been moved. I added the extra hose. And extension cord worked. So now we need to check and see if anything's leaking from the water.
I did not expect it to be backed in and to be underneath the RV several times today, but it worked out great.
Is it nice being underground?
Yeah, I'm glad I got dressed today. We are gonna have to pull it out to level all of this, but I'm really excited. It's been backed in and everything's connected.
We spent 6 hours today on load number 4. We got Taven's bunk completely done. It's always a disaster when we bring things into the RV, and then really fun to see it come together. I also raised the shower head so that we could actually stand under it.
Right now we are bringing up load 8 since yesterday morning. It's crazy. Every time you bring up a load, you put it in the RV and think there's no way we're going to be able to put stuff away. And then you kind of slowly put things away. It's getting more difficult, more challenging to do that though.
Our RV is going to have muffin top.
Oh my gosh, our RV is going to have muffin top. Our RV totally has muffin top. It's part paring down and part being super creative about storage and part Jenga. Every time we've moved, this has been hard, bringing boxes into a new house. This is definitely a higher level of challenging. Definitely. It is now Monday, April 18th, 2022. We moved in Saturday, April 16th. And since the 1st, we've been really getting things dialed in. I brought a couple loads in. At this point, we've brought 8 loads from our house. We spent a weekend We dialed things in. We've been making tweaks and changes. Staying that weekend was really helpful in knowing what we wanted to change or what things were issues immediately, like cold draft on your head when you're sleeping. It also gave us a good idea of what we would need to get to manage the space. There are two things, in my opinion, that happen when you're downsizing this much. One is you need to continue to get rid of things and minimize. The other is taking all the storage options that you have and using them to your advantage. So being really creative, using containers to really maximize all of the space. I've also realized by following people for 7+ years that whatever's really important to someone, they'll figure out a way to get into small spaces. When Dane isn't working, I am always up first, which I love. I get quiet time. I get to sit. I catch up on anything that I want to do. I have my coffee. For somebody extremely extroverted, this actually took time for me to get used to just sit in the silence and be super content and then to actually look forward to it. In this space, I got completely overwhelmed. Sit on the couch by yourself, cry overwhelmed. Even when this lifestyle is something that you've dreamed about, that you've wanted, that you've worked really hard to achieve, it's still overwhelming. It's still challenging. It's still difficult. We had so much water damage and such a huge renovation and used all of our savings to get into this RV. And we haven't really worked a whole lot on the exterior. And yesterday we were noticing all of the trim seals on this RV need to be redone. And I've looked at videos and I understand how to do it. I get the process. I understand that it's not necessarily a super difficult thing. It is time consuming. When I looked at the volume of changing every single seal on the trim on this RV and the time and effort that it takes, never having done it before, I was just completely overwhelmed. Due to the fact that we are stationary, we don't set things up for travel days. We know if we travel what we need to do. And we know that for us, it's more of a hassle because we're not set up as road warriors. The thought of moving everything around so that we could drive it down to a shop and have all the trim done, we were like, oh my gosh, because we just moved in. And then we also realized what a huge blessing it would be, what a huge relief it would be, how we know that it needs to get done and we've poured all this money into this RV and the interior looks incredible and we love it and we're living here full time. This is our home and we really need to spend the money and take the time to bring it in and have someone do it. So that is my next phone call. I just want to point out that although we've been working towards this for 7 years and really wanted it and we're finally doing it, it's so exciting and taken so long, it is still a really challenging process. And I just allowed myself to have a lot of space and grace in that process. I have so much great news as far as the move goes. We are completely moved in. One thing about being full-time stationary that's amazing is that we can utilize space in the yard. We can utilize space underneath the RV, like not in the undercarriage storage, but actually under the RV. We've brought our grill up, all of our patio furniture into our son's yard. We'll be bringing our second refrigerator up, and there's a place on his covered patio that we can put that. That's a huge blessing. The other blessing is knowing that we have a storage unit. This is a super tough one. I would prefer to not have a storage unit. However, there are some things that we're not ready to get rid of, like the dresser that my parents bought when they were pregnant with me and my dad refinished, that I've used for 51 years, 51 plus years, actually. My great-grandmother's desk. Those were things that were really sentimental. I was hopeful, and the plan was, when we did a remodel, we would actually be able to use those. And we can't do that in this RV. We knew that when we bought it. We were trying to get something that we knew would work and get into it and start RV life. We've just moved in, and I already know, other than the floor plan and being able to use those things that are sentimental, I know what I would change, which is amazing. Could we live here indefinitely forever? Absolutely. If I had an opportunity to make changes, would I? Absolutely. It's crazy how much fit in the RV that we really didn't anticipate would fit, and how much we realized we really need to go through things because not everything does fit. Having a storage unit is an opportunity to keep things that otherwise you'd have to get rid of. Part of that is a safety net, part of that is sentimental, part of that is it's scary to downsize this much, and we have the ability to go slowly. We've been in it now for 4 days at this recording, and everything's gone really, really great. I don't know what the next phase of adventure is going to be. I know cleaning out our house, getting the storage unit, being completely out of the house. Next up is going through everything in our house, in our garage, putting things in storage, and then deep cleaning the house, touching up the paint, getting it ready for the next people who live there. And also continuing to tweak and organize things in the RV. That will be a continuing journey and just leaning into that process. So until next time, thanks for watching.